So there are so much more details from the season trailer that definitely paints the whole picture from what's to come from Jabari's investigation and the direction for a few storylines and characters. Now, I teased in my Ghost Never Die video where I did a character analysis on Tariq. I mentioned how he went through season 1 portraying that he was an innocent kid, when he even made Tameika believe that he was innocent even after he admitted he shot and killed Ghost. And I think Tameika may start looking at Tariq a little differently now. We see Tariq being questioned by Kevin Whitman, Rashad Tate and Mecca. Kane threatening Tariq that if a body comes back to him, it's going to come back to Tariq as well. Now Drew looks like he's on demon time, as well as Monet. There's also Davis McLean, who seems like he may have to defend Carrie, and Brayden is the one hitting this jewellery heist after all. So there is definitely a lot to break down in this season 2 trailer for Ghost. But of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 2 Ghost and Power Universe related. But let's talk about Tameika and Tariq first, because the last time he went to ask for help from Tameika, he had this innocent look on his face. Tameika felt sorry for him because of everything that he's been through with Ghost, because he knew the monster that he was. But Tameika's going to question Tariq a little differently to the last time. She'll tell him that when he came for help, he said that he wasn't a monster and his father was. But she's going to question Tariq if he is a monster, because bodies do continue to pile up around Tariq, and it definitely is true. Wherever Tariq goes, trouble follows him, and there's always some sort of death connected to him. So Tariq is a monster, he knows it, we know it, and Effie knows it, but it's going to start to be revealed for those around him as well, because the innocence phase for Tariq has well and truly gone. And it does seem like Tariq will be going to Tameika for help, but Tameika is someone who's by the book, and Tariq needs someone who's more of a Joe Proctor type of lawyer, which we'll get to when we talk about Carrie, Davis McLean and Cooper Saxe later on in this video. But Tameika isn't the only person who's going to be questioning Tariq. We're going to see Tariq being questioned by Kevin Whitman in Jabari's office, and not just Tariq, I'm sure all the students will be questioned at some point. Zeke, Ev, they'll all be questioned as well. And those are two characters that do know some bits of information, but not the full story, and it's just a matter of whether they can keep their mouths shut during the questioning. But this whole situation isn't new for Tariq. He's been in this seat before, and he's lied to law enforcement before when him and Tasha set up Kanan. Now he was taught to lie by his parents. Raina even said to Ghost during their hallucination scene that they were taught to lie by Ghost and Tasha. So I'm sure he'll be able to handle all of these questions thrown at him from Kevin Whitman. But for him to approach Tameika, there definitely has to be some meat to the bone for Kevin to look at Tariq a little more closely. Now this is why it's going to be almost impossible to do any business around Stansfield, which is why they'll be teaming up with Effie. Brayden will be constantly back and forth between Stansfield and Yale, and it won't come without trouble. We see his car being shot, so he will definitely see this dark side of the game this season, which we'll speak about in a bit more detail in a moment. But let's stick with what we saw from Tariq in this trailer, and although Tameika may not know what Tariq is capable of, Rashad Tate definitely does. He knows about Ghost drug dealing past and murderous ways, and he also knows that Tariq was the one who really killed Ray Ray. He knows it runs in the family and the blood of the St. Patricks. But Rashad Tate's plot in Power Book 2 Ghost is the same as him in Power, of him chasing this political power, and he wants to get rid of Congressman Rick Sweeney because he wants his seat at the table. He's someone else who also knew Ghost, and Tariq did meet him at Brayden's place, so Tate may be seeking some help from Tariq as he dishes some dirt on Sweeney after he accessed the police database through his brother Kamal. So this is where Rashad Tate could possibly use Tariq, and it is ironic because Tariq wanted to be nothing like his father, yet he has all the same issues Ghost had. 2-Bit came back in season 1, Simon Stern, and now Rashad Tate. So Ghost's past in history always has a way of coming back to Tariq. But this is going to be another interesting exchange between Mecca and Tariq. He tells Tariq, if you want to run Tariq, you have to cut him and his soft spot, as we finally get to see who's behind this jewellery heist, and it's Brayden. We are definitely going to see Brayden getting his hands dirty this season, and it was always going to happen. It was just a matter of when his character was going to turn a little dark, not if. The question is, why is he pulling a lick at a jewellery store, and who's the other person, and why has he removed his mask? Now I remember when Tommy removed his mask, because he was never afraid to show who he was. He was never afraid to hide from the game, because he gave credit to what gave credit to him, and that was the streets. And Brayden may not be afraid either. He'd want to prove himself, but taking your mask off in a jewellery heist, I'm not sure about that one. Now we do know he is privileged though. He has a lot of connections, and he could use these connections to get out of trouble if he ever does find himself in trouble with law enforcement, because we've seen him use his power at Stansfield before. Now we also see Tariq being pushed up against the wall because he's never safe. He's gonna have to face a lot of situations which he's never faced before, because nobody's safe in this game, not even Tariq, and Kane warns him. But both of them are going to have a real issue because we're going to see Kevin Whitman finding Ramirez's body. Kane tells Tariq that if Ramirez's body comes back to him, then it's going to trace back to Tariq. But it's in both of their interests to work together on this one, because both of them need to stay out of jail, which Tariq described as the greater good. and shit is definitely going to be real for Tariq because there's going to be a lot of cops on campus. He'll have to manage his double life with Lauren, and he'll have all of these ethical questions that he's going to be faced with in his canonical studies class. So everybody is going to be on edge, especially because Tariq's original plan was to pin Jabari's murder on Ramirez, but this is no longer going to work because the murder weapon's been found, which was Ramirez's gun, but now Ramirez's body being found, they'll connect the dots that the two bodies were killed by the same person, who might just be at Stansfield, the one who picked up the burner phone, which we all know was Tariq. But Carrie doesn't. We see Davis McLean answering some media questions, and we also see him asking Carrie what has he got him into. So it seems like Davis McLean may be protecting Carrie after all. In episode 1, Carrie said to Whitman she wants a lawyer present, and when she said this, I thought it could only be one person, which is Davis McLean, because they do have a history and past. She said to Tariq before that Davis McLean is a really good lawyer, but she also knows that a win for him doesn't necessarily mean a win for his client. So Tariq seems like he's gone to Tameika for help, and Carrie seems like she's gone to McLean, who tells her that she's playing a very dangerous game. And could this be Davis McLean's first ever loss? Now all he's ever done is win, but that's when he had Paula by his side. But just look at who Davis McLean has employed, a serial loser, Cooper Sachs. All Sachs has ever done in his entire time on power is lose. He's never once been able to nail any of the St. Patrick's or Tommy Egan. He had this obsession with trying to nail one of them, and you know what they say, if you can't beat them, then you may as well join them. It is something the actor has teased before. Going into season 2, we may see at some point Sachs working for Tariq, flipping over to this dark side, because Tariq does need a Joe Proctor type of lawyer, because Tameika is someone who's straight by the book, and I don't know whether she'll want to help Tariq if she does believe that he is a monster just like his father. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of twists and turns to come with this whole situation between Sachs, McLean, Carrie and Tariq. But let's talk about demon time for both Monet and Drew, because this is something we've already seen in the trailer. But Drew is someone who's going to go down a really dark road, and he's also going to change very quickly this season. In episode 1 of the second season, we saw him not being able to do the one thing he loves, which is draw, which is his escape from the world that he lives in, and this will lead him to a dark road. We got a glimpse of what he was capable of when we saw what he did to Lil Guap. It's just going to take something that little more to trigger him, to trigger this inner demon inside of Drew. For example, Ev's death. That could be the final straw for Drew. But with Monet, she tells someone that she needs to find out Tariq's weaknesses, who I think is going to be Diana. This is where she'll use Diana in my opinion, because we've seen her teaching her ever since season 1. She taught her that women can hold a certain power over men, just like she did with Ramirez. In the first episode of season 2, we saw her teaching her how to load a gun, how to deal with police, and this is where I think she'll be sending Diana to Stansfield to find out Tariq's weaknesses, because if you know a person's weakness, then you can emotionally control the person, and this is what Monet wants this season. She wants more control, but the question is, will she be able to get on top and stay on top? And that's the season trailer, which showed us a few directions with where they could be taking a few storylines, with Ramirez's body being found, Tameika questioning Tariq whether he really is a monster, Brayden in the game, and an exchange between Mecca and Tariq. This trailer really did show us that this season's going to be wild, and we are definitely in for a ride with a lot of twists and turns to come. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Drop all your thoughts down below, and of course if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 2 Ghost and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.